RMJ Movie Reviews back again with a happy holidays Christmas movie review. Okay, now I'm coming with a classic. Planes, trains, and automobiles, okay? This is starring the great Steve Martin and the late, great John Candy himself, directed by the also late and great John Hughes of a lot of stuff from back in the 80s. Boy, oh boy, this is a classic with two brilliant comedians. John Candy, God rest his soul, he did so much fantastic comedic work in a lot of John Hughes' movies. Of course, you know, worked with Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Jim Belushi. Excuse me, retract that. John Belushi, Gilda, all the guys from Saturday Night Live. Steve Martin, also Saturday Night Live alumni. These are fantastic actors. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles basically tells the story of two guys who meet trying to make it back to their homes, and they're mismatched couples, and they kind of end up, having this crazy wild adventure. There are so many quotable lines in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. What's so funny about this movie is what I love about all of John Hughes' movies from that time period during the 80s and then well into kind of the 90s is that he had this thing where he could really make human characters that were real. They were just real middle-class people, and he would kind of blend it with this. Like, he would blend in real comedy. That was human comedy, not like over-the-top, gross-out gags. But then he would meld in kind of that fantastical, over-the-top 80s comedy into it. And he had such a perfect balance of it, man. He was a fantastic writer, and he really knew how to utilize the strengths of the talent that he had. In each movie, you can see how he utilized Matthew Broderick, Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald, Anthony Michael Hall. These guys here. I love how, like with John Candy, one of the things with John Candy is he always played the very I'm just using this term to give you an example, but the overweight guy with a lot of heart. You know what I mean? Who was kind of a little bit obnoxious, but he still had a warm heart inside and was willing to give. John Candy played that role very. Of course, he extended on it in his best role to me, in my opinion, Uncle Buck, which I love that film. And Steve Martin always played that really good. I love how Steve Martin was very good at playing, and still is good at playing the exact opposite of kind of the straight guy, but he would still kind of have the goofy Saturday Night Live isms mixed in there. Kind of he could kind of do the jerk kind of goofball, like slapstick physical comedy, but he could also really just do human comedy, like where he's like berating John Candy in the hotel room about, you know what I mean? How's like, if you're gonna tell a story, have a point to it. You're like a chatty Cathy doll. I mean, it's just hilarious. Like, this movie has so many quotable comedic moments, and of course, you know, this movie has all the alumni of most of the John Hughes movie. Of course, Ferris Bueller's dad pops up in here. The secretary from Ferris Bueller's office pops up in here. You know, you're seeing all the regulars in here. And they have small bit parts, but they all play their roles to comedic effect. Izzy from Miami Vice pops up. You know what I mean? The one actor, I cannot remember his name, but he was in Trick or Treat. He played the psychopathic murderous principal in Trick or Treat. Tons of movies. I forget that character actor's name, but he's in this here as kind of a hillbilly who makes his wife put the luggage in the back of the car. She once had a baby sideways. And I love how Steve Martin is great at. What I love about this movie is John Candy and Steve Martin, and the whole thing with acting and comedic timing is just reacting to the situation. And Steve Martin and John Candy are brilliant at that. When the guy says she once had a baby sideways, and they do a close-up on Steve Martin, and Steve Martin just goes like, oh, it's the best. And then John Candy just kind of goes, oh, she's a trooper. Like, what? It is ridiculous, man. And just, of course, the gag in the hotel room when when John Candy is kissing Steve Martin on his ear, and he goes, why are you kissing my ear? And he goes, why are you holding my hand? And he's like, where's your other hand? He goes, between two pillows. And he goes, those aren't pillows. Oh my God. It's hysterical. It's hysterical. I mean, there are so many, I call them gut buster. There are so many gut buster moments in this movie that will have you hurting. And that's what I really miss about like comedies now, is when I look at like Steve Martin's, basically everybody from Saturday Night Live, everybody from Saturday Night Live from the 70s and the 80s and into the 90s. I mean, those are comedians who will have you busting a gut. You laugh till it hurts. In this movie, although I've seen it multiple times, and of course, when you see something so many times, the gags aren't as funny as they are as when you freshly see it, like on video or in cable back in the day. It still is just, I mean, oh man, like some of the stuff, like when the car sets on fire and Steve Martin finally just loses it, and he just goes, and he can't stop laughing. It is the best. It is the best. And I love how every gag just gets better as the movie goes on. And it's kind of, and I love how it just doesn't just throw in these gratuitous warm gags. It's actually part of the characters, of who they're playing. And it keeps the emotional center. And the movie concludes with the character arc of both characters, and it keeps the emotional center. There's an emotional payoff along with the comedic bits. This is just fantastic stuff. You know, I think, in my personal opinion, the only director nowadays who does this type of movie, who can even come close, is Judd Apatow. He's about as close as you can get to what John Hughes was during that time period. And you see, Judd Apatow kind of has had that similar kind of run. Although I kind of feel sometimes Apatow's movies get a little bit too heavy-handed for my personal taste. But I still think he's the closest to John Hughes in terms of the melodrama with the heavy-duty comedic gags and adult gags. So this is a great movie. It's so much fun. I really have nothing else I can say about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's just, for anybody out there who has never seen it, and anybody who, I don't know, who would not be familiar with John Candy's work, but if you're not, check the movie out. Check out a lot of John Candy's work. Pretty much his stuff in, like, Wagon Z's from 1994. That was his last movie before he passed away. You know, he had a heart attack because he was severely overweight. But, you know, go back and check out two fantastic comedians at work, and dramatic actors as well. Steve Martin is also a very good dramatic actor. And John Candy, I saw him, I never saw all of JFK, but I kind of saw some of his work at JFK, and John Candy definitely was a very good dramatic actor. Although he never got his shot to do it full out. If I'm wrong, somebody leave in the comment section. This is a great movie. This is just a full-on 10 out of 10. Good rewatchability. It still holds the test of time. Of course, it has some of the cheesy 80s synth music and the kind of the 80s sentimentality of suburban life. But whatever. It's so much fun. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and leave comments down below about the fantastic directing from John Hughes and the brilliant comedic work of John Candy and Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, Automobiles. RMJ Movie Reviews, I will be back with my movie review of Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2, starring Eric Freeman. RMJ Movie Reviews, folks. I'll see you guys soon.